Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we re-diving deep into the dusty pages of history to uncover some of the most pivotal battles you probably never learned about in school. We all know about Hastings, Waterloo, and Gettysburg, right? But history is packed with clashes that completely altered the course of civilization. Yet they barely get a mention. So, grab your snacks, get comfortable, and let's explore 5 battles that changed the world that nobody talks about. First up, let's journey back to 1241 and the Battle of Mohi, also known as the Battle of the Sayo River. Ever wonder why the Mongol Empire, after conquering most of Asia and Eastern Europe, didn't just keep going and roll right over the rest of Europe? This battle is a huge part of the answer. Here, a massive Mongol army, led by the legendary General Sabate, faced off against the Kingdom of Hungary. The Hungarians, led by King Bela IV, had a formidable force, but they were completely out. The Mongols used a classic feigned retreat, luring the Hungarian knights into a trap across a bridge. What followed was a total annihilation of the Hungarian army. It was a military masterclass. This victory opened the door for the Mongols to conquer all of Central Europe. So, why didn't they? Well, just as they were preparing to push further west, news arrived that the great Khan, Gedai, had died back in Mongolia. According to Mongol law, all princes had to return home to elect a new leader. And just like that, the Mongol tide receded. Europe was saved not by a great victory, but by a timely death thousands of miles away. If Gedai had lived just a little longer, the map of Europe, and perhaps the world, would look incredibly different today. Next, we're fast-forwarding to 717 AD, for the Second Arab Siege of Constantinople. This one is a real game-changer. The Umayyad Caliphate was at the peak of its power, having expanded rapidly across North Africa and into Spain. Their next big prize was Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire and the gateway to Europe. They brought an absolutely colossal force. We're talking over 100,000 soldiers and a fleet of nearly 2,000 ships. The city was completely surrounded, and it looked like the end for the Byzantines. But the city's defenders, led by Emperor Leo III, were incredibly resilient. They had 2 secret weapons: the legendary Theodosian walls, which were almost impenetrable, and a mysterious substance called Greek fire. This was essentially ancient nap, a liquid fire that could burn on water and was utterly terrifying to the enemy. For a full year, the siege raged on. The Byzantines held firm, using their Greek fire to decimate the Arab fleet. A harsh winter and a Bulgarian relief army attacking the besiegers' rear sealed the deal. The Umayyad army was shattered. This defeat was a massive blow to the Caliphate, halting their expansion into Europe from the east for good. If Constantinople had fallen, it's very likely that much of Eastern and Central Europe would have come under Islamic rule, fundamentally changing the development of Western civilization. Okay, for number 3, let us head to South America and the Battle of Ayacucho in 1824. While many people know about the American Revolution, the wars for independence across Latin America are often overlooked. This battle was the final, decisive clash in the Peruvian War of Independence. On one side, you had the royalist forces, loyal to the Spanish crown. On the other, the Independence Army, led by the brilliant Antonio José de Sucre, a close confidant of Simon Bolivar. The royalists actually had a numerical advantage, but Sucre was a tactical genius. He chose his ground carefully on the high plains of Ayacucho and managed to outmaneuver the Spanish commander. The battle was short, but incredibly bloody and intense. In the end, the independence forces won a stunning victory, capturing the Spanish viceroy and effectively crushing Spanish colonial power on the continent. This single battle secured the independence of Peru and Bolivia and marked the end of the Spanish Empire in mainland South America. It was the culmination of a decade-long struggle and redrew the map of an entire continent, paving the way for the modern nations we see today. Now for our 4th battle, let's go to Asia and the Battle of Talas River in 751 AD. This is a fascinating one because its most significant impact wasn't military, but cultural and technological. The battle was fought in modern Dagestan between the expanding Abbasid Caliphate and the Chinese Tamsi dynasty, 2 of the world's biggest superpowers at the time. Both empires were vying for control over the lucrative Silk Road trade routes in Central Asia. After several days of fighting, the battle turned when some of the Temps army's allies, the Karluk Turks, switched sides and attacked them from the rear. The Temps army collapsed. But here is the real legacy. Among the prisoners of war taken by the Abbasids were skilled Chinese papermakers. Before this, the secret of papermaking was a closely guarded Chinese monopoly for centuries. Through these prisoners, the knowledge spread throughout the Islamic world and eventually reached Europe. Can you imagine a world without paper? The Renaissance, the Reformation, the printing press, all of these were fueled by the widespread availability of paper. The Battle of Talas River was the catalyst that let this world-changing technology out of the bag. It is a perfect example of how the consequences of a battle can be far more significant than just who won or lost on the day. Finally, for our number 5, we resail into the waters of the Baltic Sea for the Battle of Grengam in 1720. This was a key engagement in the Great Northern War between the rising power of Russia under Peter the Great and the dominant Swedish Empire. At the time, Sweden had one of the most powerful navies in the world. Peter the Great was determined to build Russia into a modern European power, and that meant securing access to the sea. The Russian fleet, mostly consisting of smaller, more maneuverable galleys, lured the larger Swedish ships into the shallow, tricky waters of the Juland Islands. In these confined spaces, the Swedish ships couldn't use their superior firepower effectively. The Russian galleys swarmed them, using their oars to their advantage, and captured several Swedish frigates in a brutal boarding action. This victory, along with others, shattered the myth of Swedish naval invincibility. It established Russia as a major naval power in the Baltic Sea, secured the newly founded city of St. Petersburg as its window to the west, and marked the definitive shift in power in Northern Europe from Sweden to Russia. The rise of the Russian Empire, which would shape world politics for the next 200 years, really gained its sea legs right here at this forgotten battle. So there you have it, 5 incredible battles that had a massive impact on history, but are rarely ever mentioned. From saving Europe from Mongol conquest to spreading the secret of paper, these clashes prove that history is full of fascinating, hidden turning points. What do you think? Are there any other forgotten battles you think should have made the list? Let me know down in the comments below. It is always amazing to see how a single day of conflict can echo through centuries and shape the world we live in today. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the lesser-known corners of history, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.